GEEKS!
GEEKS!
Hello and welcome. That was great. That way more than makes up than last week's intro. Hello and welcome to episode 67 of GEEKS, the world's #1 entertainment podcast recorded in this room. I'm your host, Dal White, and joining me today for a little fireside chat, Bruno Centofanti. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, I'm alright. Not too bad. We've got a new setup today. So if you're just listening to this podcast, head over to YouTube, type in Tessellate and GEEKS, and look on our feed, and we have a little video version up. We're going to be showing off some of the amiibos, stuff like that. Probably not going to bother with this setup again, because it took me a little bit too long. Oh, buddy.
It looks very good.
You left halfway through the podcast last week, I remember.
Yes.
So it's nice we get you the whole time this time.
Yes.
You know, please don't leave me on my own.
No, I will be
Otherwise
here.
It's just me talking to myself.
I'll be here tonight.
How's your week been? What have you been up to?
Has been good. I've been working, dealing with some work stuff. Also, we are still working on How to Be Human. Final 3 weeks.
The last 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So that means
probably
you
2,
ran
3. Yeah.
Sound and effects still?
Sound. We did ADR yesterday. We still have one more session of ADR. Music is going very well. It's going very exciting now.
Nice.
He's a very cool guy to work with. Mim. He's from Iran and he's based in there, and we are working online sort of together, and it's very cool. He's using some typical sounds and let's see what's gonna happen. And then color grading is happening, visual effects. We are starting to get pieces together. It's very nice. It's very very
He's
exciting.
he's in Iran doing the music for him? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you never met him? It's one of those film relationships
Yes.
where you work with someone.
Yes, and he's a very cool character, a very nice guy.
It's really cool, isn't it? Like, and surreal. Like, I'm working with my storyboard artist who's doing like creature design, so I was just showing you some for our film, and I've never met him. He's just like, I think he's in America somewhere, but it's just strange, these relationships you get with people where you never meet them, and it's purely through email and maybe some Skype at some point or something. It's an interesting job.
No, it's very cool. The tricky part for me was learning is to give feedback, written feedback for music, which is different. Now we are planning to have a sort of like Skype call.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. But so far has been more writing about the themes, about what the characters are going through. And it's nice that he listens to it, but he also bounces back some extra ideas. So it's very nice. It's very good.
That's what you want.
Yeah. So
I find it like, it's my #1 rule with most relationships. It's like, get out of text and get out of email. You want a phone call or you want to be in person. Because it's just like, it's so hard to interpret how people are. The amount of things where I read into it, someone pissed off, or it's like, and people think I'm pissed off about something just because you're abrupt one time or whatever. So it's like impossible to know how something was written. So many fucking arguments, man. Just because of that stuff. It's okay. I try to now always make sure you're touching base on the phone or something. But that said, this guy
sounds good.
Guy,
We just we will know. We're probably gonna see it soon.
Cool. All right. So we'll keep. We're gonna do. I think next week LA is doing this podcast, but maybe the week after we can join us again here and we can catch up, see where you're at,
Yeah.
see what's going on. Hopefully, I'll get to see a cut of it by then.
Yeah. And actually, last one I told you that it was on the 21st of April. Actually, it's 27th of April. Our premiere.
Okay.
At the Sci-Fi London Film Festival.
And it's showing before the film Caught.
Which is the premiere of the film.
Cool.
One of the producers of Moon.
Yeah.
It's
one of his new films.
So let's see.
Am I going to get to see a cut of the film before the festival, or do I have to go to the festival for the first
We
time?
have a screening. We have probably 1 or 2 private screenings before.
Don't tell people.
No, no. This is for the people that helped us through the process.
Okay.
All gonna be like invited for it.
Okay.
On the crowdfunding, and also friends of crew and this sort of stuff, and
So I can sneak into that.
Yes.
Cool.
You're part of it.
Awesome. I've been mostly playing Zelda and editing. That's been it. Literally since I saw you about 5 days ago, and as you were coming through the door now to the podcast, I realized, I haven't I've seen people, but I haven't interacted with anybody for like 5 to 6 days. I've just been in here editing the film, which I'm pretty happy with. Like we've got the 3-hour version right now, and now comes the fun / impossible bit of making it 1 hour and 45 or less ideally, but it'll probably be an hour and 45.
I usually find that the first round now is easy. This first one,
Yeah,
because you start to see very like this is great, this is not great, and it starts to clean.
yeah, and then
The
it gets
problem is-
really tough. Yeah.
then
Yeah,
it's
I
too
feel
painful.
like you really have to jump on. Yeah, my thing with editing is like that first edit is boring but easy, which is what I just did. In terms of, well, it's just what footage do you have?
Yeah.
Like, what possibilities do you have?
Yeah.
Normally, you're not going to have too many possibilities. So, other than a few scenes, you're just literally dropping stuff in and fitting it into what the narrative is for you as a director. And then the second time you come back, it's much harder but a lot more fun. Because then it's like, okay, now I don't care about anything. How do I rip it apart? But I think you're right. If you don't nail it, like, or get close, you're obviously never going to nail it on your second edit. But if you don't get into the region of nailing it on your second edit, then yeah, it gets really hard again on that third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh,
Yeah.
eighth, because you just gradually. Oh look, our background just changed.
Nice. Some monsters in there.
You can see some of the creature designs, and you can see my backdrop. There's Alberto. There's Ali. There's Tanro poking in. Perfect. Thank you,
Back.
YouTube, for just giving people a look at my entire desktop. Well, I'm glad you could join us, man.
Yes. Very
We got some interesting news this week, which I'm excited to get to. And like I said earlier, in front of us got some Amiibo. We did our Switch review last week, and I want to kind of do some more feelings about it now since we've had a week to get used to it. But I'll get to that when we get to the
Yeah.
news. And some people were saying that they wanted to know a bit more about the Amiibos because
Even about like the name, do you know why it's called Amiibo?
Amiibo.
Yeah.
Well, it's just because you had the Wii with the double I, and then if you created your own version of that, you had the Me. And then I think they were just doing like I don't know. I feel like it's like a spin on Amigo and Amiibo, like taking that Me thing. You got a double I in there as well, don't you? I think.
I have no idea.
I remember. I know it's Nintendo, man. They have weird names. That's the explanation.
And then each game have their own.
You want me to explain these to you then?
Yeah.
How
Basically.
So Amiibo, there's hundreds of them. I think there's like 250 maybe at the moment or something out there in the wild, and they are they essentially have like a little chip. They're just toys, you know, like dumb toys like Skylander or something. But in Nintendo, so they have like a curated sort of. They don't curate everything to one style like Disney did their Infinity game. This isn't for one game, so Nintendo kind of jumped on that Skylanders, Disney Infinity, Lego Universe, whatever it was called. And they created these, and they have a little chip in the bottom, so you can scan them into games. So on the, let me just pop this out. Oh, food is here. On the Nintendo Switch, you just pop them on top of these thumb pads, and it will scan it in.
Which means that you can
Get
have
the
this character or this next level.
Hang on, you got the fan. Yep, we tend to have too much food
So
delivered.
what does it mean?
It depends on the game. They can use them how they want to. So some games don't use them at all. Other games, well, a lot of games don't use them at all. Some games just use proprietary ones to that game. Zelda, for instance, you can use all Amiibos on Zelda. You can use them, I think, just once a day. And basically, when you're playing the game, you pull out a special rune. Like you have different runes in Zelda, and you pull out one that's your Amiibo. It'll show you where you're scanning it to. You scan in any regular Amiibo in Zelda, and you're going to get a bunch of just items, just regular items, whether it's food or a chest with some money or whatever, to give you a little bonus. I'm not going to do any spoilers still on Zelda because people are still discovering that game, but there are particular ones Amiibo out here, which are Zelda ones. They're very particular ones, like the one I'm holding right now, that give you very, very cool things.
Nice.
Like very cool things. Our pizzas are here.
Like this one.
Sing a little song,
Singing a song. That's a good question. I can even sing a song. What does it mean? Okay. I actually wanted to take this sword out, but I felt that it could break. Is it?
Is that what
the-
we missed? No,
I
you
don't know.
can't take that out. Yeah, that's that.
You can, okay. So
That's-
if you try hard, it basically break it.
Yeah, that was part of the Master Edition in the US and the sort of regular Collector's Edition in the UK. Yeah, you can't get it out. So yeah, basically you just you scan them on stuff and you get some cool stuff depending on what you get.
And the only video game that does that is basically.
Yeah, it's all Nintendo.
Nintendo's-
Yeah, because you have to have the technology inside the remote. So on the Switch, they didn't know where to put it because they ran out of space, obviously, with this being the console, and they found, oh, no one's using the inside thumbstick. There's a place you could put a chip to scan something, so they put them in these.
Clever.
On the controller, on the Pro controller, it's kind of right in the middle of it, but you just have to hold it there for a couple of seconds. I was finding it a bit goofy to begin with. But now, yeah, I got used to it. They're really cool. The problem with that...
It's the wrong side, I think.
Is that the wrong way around? Hang on. The problem with that, as we talked a bit about last week with Chris, is it's kind of like, it's not pay to win in any way, but it does some of these, and again, we're not doing spoilers, but some of these do really change the structure of the game. Like they do things for you and give you aids or assists or particular gameplay elements, and you're paying for that, you know. And some of these are really expensive now. Like when they first come out, they may be 10 quid or something. But some of these now are rare, and obviously when a game comes out where they want a particular one, then like one of them, like this Guardian one, like it costs a lot of money now to get this Guardian one because people want it because of the stuff it does for your game. So it's kind of...
Can other people use it, or it's just yours, you register and that's... No.
So I know like friends at IGN and stuff were saying, this is ridiculous, I'm going to have to turn this off now. Friends at IGN were saying that because a lot of them have amiibos on different desks, so they can use their amiibo and then walk over to someone else's desk and use the same amiibo in the same day. So you can just like triple up, quadruple up, like keep stacking up items and stuff like that. Great. Oh my god.
This looks like that Wii game with the background of stock images.
Yeah, it does. Looks like once you switch. Alright, just turn this shit off. I think it's because I was downloading stuff on my laptop. So. This podcast is a shambles. If you're not watching the video version, yeah, you're missing out on a mess. Yeah, I mean, they're really cool, but it is just, it bothers me in a way that you kind of have to pay for gameplay elements when they should really just be bundled in. But they're really cool. I've kind of allowed myself to only buy Link ones, so only, you know, the character Link, and then I've bought like the Guardian just because something cool, so just Zelda ones, that's all I'm going to buy, because I don't want to go outside of that, because it's a fucking, it's a deep well.
Could you buy the same perks online without this? Can you buy
Interesting
on the
question.
game?
Not, I mean, definitely not on Zelda. Not that I know of with other games, but that's an interesting question. If it's like a DLC thing where later on, someone else could buy it as a microtransaction. No, I don't believe any game yet offers that. I think they're just trying to, this is your microtransaction. Is go and buy more plastic toys to put in your house the Nintendo way. But yeah, they're cool. All right, shall we get to some news, my friend?
Yes.
So let's
Show me some news.
start this podcast as we do every week with Nate's Blowdown, where we're going to go through some games and movie news. I've mixed them together this week into a little stew. We have 7 items. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Number 1. The Nintendo Switch sold around 1.5 million units in its first week. These are sell-through numbers, which means sometimes they boast about these numbers, but it means they just sold them to a shop, but they haven't actually sold them yet. But these are actually sell-through to customers. It sold 500,000 in the US, around 360,000 in Japan, 85,000 UK, 110,000 in France. For comparison, the Switch sold 313 units in Japan during the first 48 hours. The Wii U sold 308,000 and the Wii sold 370,000. So not as big a separation point as you'd expect there, you know? Like the Wii, such a huge console, like one of the biggest of all times. And it didn't sell that much more than this one. This one didn't sell that much more than a Wii U. But it takes time. So these numbers are kind of weird. Everyone's been boasting about this right now. Nintendo came out to announce that their sales in Europe, Japan, and America have been the company's best ever for the first 48 hours. But it is kind of skewed because it takes time. Like the Wii, it took a few weeks for that to build up the steam, and then for it to sell out, and then for people to realize they wanted one, and they couldn't buy it.
And also, am I wrong? But it's not. It was sold out or something, right?
They're pretty much sold out most places.
Which also like doesn't help you to...
Yeah, so they've said here that previously they said that they plan to ship 2 million units by March the 31st. So yeah, stock shortages will continue for a bit. No idea when the next lot will be coming through, but they're kind of trickling through at the moment. I know on Amazon, absolutely already you have to buy them through people who have bought them and then they're selling them on. They're costing like 400 quid or something, I think, in the UK. So it's nearly twice the price it was at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is the attach rate for games. So 89% of owners have bought Zelda, of course. So nearly 90% of gamers, are buying this just to play Zelda, which is interesting because you can play the same game on the Wii U, albeit not quite as, 900p, not as, like there's a few graphical things that are going on to sacrifice it for Wii U. But you could if you wanted to. Like, I feel most Zelda fans own a Wii U already.
But is it the same game, exactly the same journey?
Same game, yeah.
Huh, interesting.
So it's kind of like people are selling the Wii U to then buy a Switch, then play the better version of Zelda. Or if you don't own a Wii U or a Switch and you want to play the new Zelda, you could just go buy a really dirt cheap Wii U and play it on that for way cheaper than buying a Switch. But it kind of speaks to the marketing that they've kind of sold as this is the way you play the new Zelda.
And how do you feel now? Is it something that you think that the console would help with the experience of playing the game, or do you think that could be another one and all the same?
I think in terms of gameplay, I mean, I'm playing with a Pro controller, and if I played on the Wii U, I'd play with a similar controller to that. So that wouldn't be really any difference. I mean, for me, yeah, like that little extra fidelity from the Switch, a little bit more HD, a little bit better draw distance, music's like quality is a little bit better for sound and stuff. Yeah, it's worth it because Zelda's such a great game. But if the Switch hadn't come out, which it very well could not have, we weren't expecting a new Nintendo console, until they suddenly unveiled it. I would have been very happy playing this on the Wii U. Like it still would be an incredible game. So yeah, don't know, but like it's doing very well. People are buying it.
Have you used this already? Going to a coffee shop? Have you tried on the Uber? Like where have you tried this? Oh, no, never.
No, I've been playing. So and that's what I'm enjoying about the Switch. So there's a lot of problems with the Switch, I really do, and we hit a lot of them last week. But what I'm enjoying with it is just the conversation around it. So all the podcasts I'm listening to in my Twitter feed and friends, like people who've bought it are using it in different ways. So for me, like we reviewed it last week and we kind of said that as a console, it fails because it's very underpowered. But, just to play Zelda through or just to play Mario Odyssey when that comes out, great. As a handheld, it's the experience I want, I think, as a handheld. But not that I think most people will because it's too big, the battery life is too short. And it's you got to like protect this thing that you're taking around because it's premium. But I've heard so many people who are never playing it on their screen, and even when they're at home, they're still playing it in handheld mode, so that either their partner can watch stuff at the same time, or just because the stability of Zelda is actually better if you play it in handheld. There's no frame rate issues and stuff like that. So a lot of people are just opting to play it handheld and take it to bed and play it that way. Like I said last week, it kind of hurts my hand a little bit if I play in bed. So if I go to bed, I'm just taking the dock through and I just plug it into the TV and keep playing there. But I'm really enjoying my time with it. Like I really am. But my time with it is just Zelda. Like Snipper Clips, I'm loving. That's a great game. And if you're on a Switch, definitely go buy Snipper Clips. But you need someone else to play that with. And I've tried every other game out there. 1-2 Switch, like you said last week, is like, that's fun to try once, but then I'm not going to sit around playing 1-2 Switch and milking a cow by myself in a room. So for me, it's just a Zelda machine. And I'm fine with that. Like it is a system seller, and it's been I think not since Halo 1 have we had a game at launch that's a system seller, You'll buy that console just for that game.
And for Mario's later.
Yeah, for Mario. Yeah, you got the promise of stuff later. Yeah, we'll get to that actually a bit later in the news. Number 2 is Godzilla. So we reported last year that a feature-length animated Godzilla movie is in the works, which I found interesting because there's a Sony doing an animated feature Spider-Man film that they're going to send to screens, like to cinemas, which I find very, very strange. Like, where does that fit in with the whole Marvel? I don't know, strange. So yeah, Godzilla are doing it. It's going to it's produced by Japanese anime studio Polygon Pictures. It'll be out later this year, and it will have a theatrical release in Japan. But in the US and the UK and the rest of the world, it's going to debut on Netflix. It's directed by Koban Shizunu, who did Knights of Sidonia, and Hiroki Seshita, who did Asian. And it's written by Gen Urubachi, who did Psycho Pass. The film promises to, and this is a quote, offer an epic reimagining of the Godzilla world of the future. You can follow more details on the Godzilla Anime Twitter account at Godzilla_anime. They got some images up there from development, and they look pretty cool. I think this is going to end up being shit, but I'm actually really excited because I love Godzilla and I love anime, and the idea of like if Spider-Man big feature film in animation, I'm excited about. Like as long as it's 2D, not 3D. That's a good point. I don't know if they're doing this in that, that weird 3D cell shaded, so it looks 2D, but it's actually 3D. I hate that. I don't know if they're doing that with this. But yeah, Netflix are all excited that they've managed to snap that up as an exclusive. So, PlayStation Now. Sony will be bringing PS4 games to PlayStation Now. The streaming-only service currently offers around 480 PlayStation 3 titles, depending on your region, and it will now be adding PS4 games with a private test starting in the next few weeks. Sony is also dropping hardware support for the PS3, Vita, and TVs, meaning that the service will eventually only work on the PS4 and Windows PC. This news came hot on the heels of Microsoft unveiling last week Xbox Game Pass, which will let Xbox One owners download over 100 Xbox One and 360 titles for $9.99 a month. So Bruno, I've never used PlayStation Now. You said you've used it?
The PlayStation Now?
Yeah.
Yes. I did a trial. I think it was a trial or something.
Mm-hmm. How'd that work for you?
I didn't like it because, because of this, it was only games that maybe it's not what I would like to play now.
Is it because they're old games, or did you have a problem with the streaming, or?
No, there was just basically, I felt were like very old games, which it's fun sometimes, but it's not what I was on the mood. It was like playing really old games.
Yeah.
And it is funny that I have these nostalgic feelings, like sometimes that I want to play some old games, but actually when I start playing, I don't like enjoy as much as I thought. It's like once I was gonna watch Thundercats, thinking it would be amazing. I was
It's not the same when you go back.
No, it's not, and I felt like the same. I think it's certain things I wanted to move on.
Yeah.
And
so it's like if Netflix on the subscription only had 60s, 70s films and had nothing.
Which is what it is, really. Plus, like that's what I feel even with like Netflix and Amazon films. Actually, is that I think it's just a lot of
too many old films,
old stuff, and then some new stuff that they are making.
Yeah.
But there's no like.
I think increasingly they spend their licensing money on their own content.
Exactly. If you really wanna watch films, that's not a place to watch films. It's a place to watch their own content and their series.
I agree.
But with Sony, I was very disappointed.
But at least films don't age the same way like games do antiquate very quickly. Yeah. So it's hard to go back to a last generation or a last generation of games. I was thinking, because a lot of people have trouble with the streaming, which is something all the companies want to push to. It's just streaming games. I bought the console, the OnLive, a couple of years ago, which was the world's first everything was streaming, so you just jumped into a game and played it, and you had like a map of the world with people, like thousands of screens of people playing, and you could just jump in and watch them. That was my favorite thing, which is like at any point you just jump in and see what people are playing, which was kind of like Twitch, I guess, but they curated it nicely. But it didn't. It's not very satisfying streaming. There's always lag problems or there's visual problems, whatever. So I mean, with PlayStation Now adding PlayStation 4 games to its roster, does that interest you more to subscribe to something like that because you'll have newer games like this generation games?
I think so.
Yeah,
it's because I'm not really that type of person that buys many games and finishing them. I just like to have a fun little
just
bit.
Just be able to jump in and out.
Yes, and try some things. So for me, that would be cool because I can just jump without thinking, oh, I spent 50 quid in this. Now I want to finish. So basically, one of the reasons that I love playing games is just to keep me not too far from what's happening. If I
want to be a part of the conversation, basically.
Exactly. And also, even thinking about my brain and how it works, if you stop keeping in touch with that sort of stuff, gets to a point that this gap,
you just drift.
It becomes quite big.
Yeah.
And then you don't, and I don't want to have this distance from things that are changing and from things that I like, actually.
That was a really good
storytelling, because this is like storytelling in the end of the day.
Even if you're not going to play much of the games, just to be able to jump in and out of 50 games or whatever whenever you want,
exactly.
Or 480.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I guess for people, they like to have the pointers, and I don't know.
Yeah.
that's not me anymore. Maybe like one game would really like inspire
Yeah,
me.
they should do something like where it streams, but you can download one a month or something, so you can actually get the full, fidelity of something properly. Because that's the one thing Xbox is definitely gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how it plays out. Like because I don't think enough people notice PlayStation now. They didn't do a good job of marketing it and talking about it. It just kind of popped up one day.
And actually, I remember that I didn't like much of I didn't find it very user friendly.
The UI was a bit difficult.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember what was it, but I just remember that it wasn't really like enjoyable, wasn't easy to find or something. Like when you get inside, like I was getting lost in the games, and then comes a bunch of games that
Right. Okay.
and it's all like 8-bit sort of games, sort of seems like, and I was like, man, when is gonna find one cool that I can
something
just.
you want.
Yeah.
So if they do this and it's like a simple PS4 section you can just go into and you can just look at the new games or something, then maybe.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay.
Just to taste it,
So it's going to be, there's a private test starting in the next few weeks, but it'll be later in the year when it actually goes live. So you have to let us know if you try it out later, how it is. Number 4, James Cameron. Oh boy. One of my favorite directors. He came out last week to announce that Avatar 2 won't be coming next year. The film had already been pushed back from release this year to next. Now he's saying, quote, well, 2018 is not happening. We haven't announced a firm release date. What people need to understand is that this is a cadence of releases. So we're not making Avatar 2. We're making Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's an epic undertaking, and it's not unlike building the Three Gorge Dam.
If you can do
End
it,
quote.
you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. If you, and it's actually interesting. If you can hold the process to make something great.
Can you make 4 films at one go, though,
Yeah,
man? And they're going to be long films,
Yeah. Is he long like Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're going to be like 2.5 hours each, I'm sure.
Wow.
I'm sure. That's. I mean, but again, it's kind of like making a lot of TV, I suppose. James Cameron's one of those people for me, like Tim Burton, where when I was growing up and I was a teenager, he was like an aspiring, like for me, he was the reason I wanted to be a director, like one of those people. Like I loved Terminator, I loved Aliens, I loved like The Abyss, and then he just fell off a cliff for me. The stuff he's made and his attitude, he's just such a he could just be a real dick about stuff. And Tim Burton's absolutely the same. I used to love Tim Burton when I was young. Now he's just nightmare. Are you excited for a new Avatar film?
I liked the first one.
But do you think, because like people in the first one, it was Lord of the Rings, like you went to expos and people were in cosplay, as the Na'vi and stuff like that. People loved it. There's whole porn channels to it and stuff. I think that's how you can tell when something's into popular culture. But is 10 years too late for a sequel to that? Like 10 years is a long time.
And it's not that they needed that for technology or anything.
No.
It's just like
It's just him.
They could have,
Just him.
Yeah,
He takes his
maybe.
time. He doesn't need the money,
No.
for sure. So
maybe also by
I'm
Get
very
ready
interested
and-
to see how well those films do. Like I feel the campaign, like the advertising campaign will be so aggressive and it'll be, hey, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, like bam, bam, bam coming, that it'll probably do very well. But I feel if they just came out with number 2 right now, people wouldn't care as much.
I just don't know if Avatar is not like Star Wars in a sense that he's kind of trying to be. Is it?
Yeah,
like
I think
trying
that-
to
I think
become
definitely he
a
wants to be a
very
Star Wars.
strong like franchise.
Yeah, for sure.
But going like straight into it from the 2nd to the 7th in once instead,
It's a lot.
building up. Maybe they could have 3 and then.
I don't even really know, because the thing is, when you think
don't
about
know,
something
people
like Star Wars, I think about so many characters, and I'm looking forward to catch up on. When I think about Avatar, which I wasn't, to be honest, a big fan of, but I appreciate what it did and why people like it. It just wasn't for me. But I don't know really who am I looking forward to going back to, like other than the lead 2 people, like I don't know, well, 2 creatures. I don't really know what it is I want to go back
It's
for.
true.
I want to go back for the worlds, It's like apparently the second one's set underwater a lot and stuff like that. It's like cool. That's what interests me more. What is your vision for the world?
Yeah.
But the actual characters is like,
No, it's not as strong as.
Whereas every other franchise, I go back to Lord of the Rings to see, hey, how's like Gandalf doing, and how's Frodo, and how's Bilbo, and how's all these people. Even Marvel is like, you go back for the characters.
Matrix, even that now I have heard of it.
Yeah, they want to do another trilogy because guess what? Their film careers have not gone very well.
Well, no.
Wachowski's like, I mean, they've had a lot of banked money. I'm sure they're doing fine, but they haven't had a success in a long time.
They haven't done something. Yeah.
No.
Which actually,
They did Cloud Atlas last, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, then they do this Sixth Sense. No, is it Sense? No, Sense is.
Sense8, the TV.
Yeah, something. Like that,
Yeah.
which I watched a little bit and never. Really
Yeah, you were
got
big.
into it.
You were a big Wachowski fan, weren't you?
Matrix 1. I find that super good.
Yeah, Metro One's obviously incredible. Oh, of course, they did Jupiter Ascending. That was a bunch of bullshit. Did they direct that? Yeah, so they directed... Yeah, after The Matrix, they did Speed Racer, which really was that. I mean, they produced a lot of shit as well.
Man.
They directed Cloud Atlas, then they directed Jupiter Ascending, and then they directed a whole bunch of Sense8. I didn't realize they were actually directing that. I thought they were just producing it.
But I like them. I really hope they can come with something good. I just don't know if it's necessary right now. I think they're thinking more about the visual point of view that now you can do so much more. But
I think that, I don't know.
I think
they're too late. I don't know. I don't think, because the great thing about the Matrix 1 was when it came around, it was the perfect time to have that commentary. It was like just 2000, wasn't it? Or 99 or whatever. And it was that perfect time to have a commentary on the digital age and on computers and stuff. And now it's like, I don't know what more there is to be said that hasn't been said. You know, everything's been said. So I don't know where they go from there. But we'll find out. We will find out. Number 5. HBO is creating a mini-series based on the 2016 Trump-Clinton election. Tom Hanks is producing. It'll be based upon the third book in the Game Change series written by Mark Halperin and John Heinemann, which isn't released until 2018. The series will come shortly after the book. Also, as a side note, FX's horror anthology show American Horror Story just announced it will also be covering the 2016 presidential race in its next season, which I thought was a snide, humorous remark. How do you feel about these things? People like it's so recent and painful, I think, for a lot of people to like turn it into. I don't know. I feel like the HBO one, that'll probably, just because it's HBO, I feel that'll probably treat it respectfully.
Exactly. It would be probably something to help us just see the bigger picture, probably more than just like a city documentary. And they are very good on that. I like it.
I feel these things are really signifiers when they come this close, like so fucking close to things happening. I feel they're the signifiers of really what's happening right now. I don't want to get into politics. We've very purposely tried to steer away from all that stuff on this podcast. But I feel like there's a cultural civil war happening right now. And I feel these things let you know, like, how serious that is and how much it could build to a, when I say civil war, I don't mean a bloody violent one like there used to be, but definitely I feel a civil war is increasingly something that's, going to become prescient.
I do think journalism and documentary somehow is getting to a new style of documentaries, which I really like. It's more factual in some things. Netflix had one. What is it? 13th? Is it 13th? About the prison system in the United States,
Okay.
And I really like it. It's very factual. It's just things to help us to see what's happening. It's not that maybe there's nothing new for us, but I think with this, I just think that we are just seeing what we want to see really recently with all these ways that internet show us things that we're searching for.
Yeah.
So this is the sort of thing that can maybe penetrate into other groups of people that are not seeing those things.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Because it's quite mainstream somehow. Like HBO is huge, Netflix is huge, and they do get everyone.
Yeah. When it's just right there in front of you when you're surfing through stuff, and it's not your Facebook feed, and it's not the people you started ignoring because they have different political stances from you and all that stuff.
Even recently, I was having a look on Netflix. So I pay for like 5 like accounts, you know, these.
Yeah.
So I share these with my family. So I was recently checking what shows in each one of them.
Right.
And it's a completely different story. And actually, I was going to the recent ones, and it was different. And I couldn't find some of them from the other one. I just couldn't. I had to search it, but I couldn't browse into it. So it is interesting. And at the same time, I don't like it. If I could choose, like I wish that I actually could choose to be in control of that, or just get what is there, what people are actually seeing, not what I usually search for.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So maybe what I like on this is that they will probably bring some facts and some things, and kind of like stop with this idea of alternative fact or something, right? That
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, it's interesting something like this because it's
alternative fact. Yeah.
It could be fact based, but when it's a fictional interpretation of something, I don't mean fiction, but as soon as you're filming something, it's not a documentary.
Yeah.
This is a fictional interpretation, and I find that something interesting because it is a way to wage war essentially, and to like you're saying, influence people who wouldn't normally have a window to be influenced. Depending how they sell it as well. If it's just called the Trump-Clinton election, it's like, well, you don't know which side that's falling on yet, or what it's trying to say. So it's something that, they have a chance to influence, which is always good.
I think they're more worried about the next one. I mean, it's just
getting
ready for the next one.
That's what I've been, let's not get into politics. But
hey
that's absolutely been my argument.
Let's not do this again.
It's all about the next 4 years. It's not about right now.
Exactly.
Number 6. Can you believe... Bruno, my friend, it's been 25 years this year since Reservoir Dogs came out. Hurts me. Quarter of a century.
Yeah.
I remember being in boarding school with a VHS copy I'd got from America, and I got it confiscated by one of our teachers, and then he never gave it back because he was loving it so much. But I was like 11 or 12. Lionsgate and Big Star Games have announced Reservoir Dogs Bloody Days, a video game coming to PC and Xbox One later this year to celebrate the original film's 25th year anniversary. Unfortunately, for me, it's a top-down perspective shooter where players must strategically rewind time to control a team of characters as they blast through a variety of heists. So this is how they said it. Blasting through and it's a shooter and blah, blah, blah. But then here's their quote about it. As huge fans of Reservoir Dogs, we're very focused on creating a highly addictive experience that stays true to the tense, dramatic vibe of this unforgettable movie. By taking control of different characters for overlapping bursts of time, players must utilize the strengths of each squad member to carry out the game's missions, with every move and shot creating a butterfly effect on the overall outcome. So I just hear their quote, and I'm actually kind of intrigued. The idea of playing as different characters, building towards a heist, which is very what GTA 5 did. And they said they want to stay true to the tense, dramatic vibe and blah, blah, blah. But the screenshots I've seen, it looks like a shooter, which is not what Reservoir Dogs was. And kind of the beauty of Reservoir Dogs is you never see the heist. It's a heist movie. I believe it's the only heist movie in film history where it's a heist movie, but you never see the heist. You just see them running away from it after it's gone wrong. So yeah, the idea of turning that, as an homage to it, to celebrate 25 years of Reservoir Dogs into a shooter, kind of pisses me off, to be honest.
Is there any game that was made out of a film that was good?
Yeah, definitely. There was actually a Reservoir Dogs game before, if I remember correctly, but that was not good. A very good one is Chronicles of Riddick. There was a Riddick game, which was like a pitch black game, which was very good. That's an excellent game. I'm sure there were other ones. There was that bad Matrix one, that was not good. Path to Neo, whatever it was called. Yeah, we should do a feature on that at some point.
Because it's quite difficult to get this right.
It is really hard. It's not quite as hard, but it's almost as hard as making a good video game movie adaptation. Because
what I think is often that didn't come from the heart of a gamer.
Yep.
That started with a world, and they probably started thinking about gameplay.
Yeah.
And this is okay, this is just like a money thing, like spin-off. You
have to distill it to something.
Yeah. So then you hire a game company to do this. and you give a film, and I don't know, often I think there's not much heart on this. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, let's just make something for the brand sort of thing.
I think films, once you have to distill them down to one gameplay mechanic, it becomes a problem. I think nowadays it could be better because we have like indie games which embrace short form versions of things and like just walking simulators and like games like Gone Home and Firewatch and stuff like that, where it's like you can do something more interesting. So it's like, why not have a game adaptation of a movie that's only 2 hours long, but where it does something different, where you're in that person's shoes for a little bit and it's not just about shooting things or beating things up. So yeah, I think you could do more interesting things now, but yeah, they don't happen very often, sadly. Number 7.
Do you think that one of the problems that filmmakers try to start to come with a concept for the gamers instead, and they don't have enough knowledge about how to have a good gameplay, so they come with a concept, but actually
Yeah, I think definitely film producers getting involved. Yeah, they don't have an idea for what's good. Like, for instance, one of the ones that was made at the same time as the film was the King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong one. And that was actually a decent game. It came out launch day, I think, of the Xbox 360. But it was really short. It was like a 4-hour game. It was really pretty. First person. It wasn't like the best game in the world, but it was a decent interpretation. But that was one where I think Peter Jackson had a better grasp on how to adapt that. But yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it's one of those things like people making games and people making movies and people making music and people making comics don't normally know what's best for each other's world until someone cracks a way to do that formula, Like just think about how many bad comic book movies there were until Christopher Nolan came around and then Marvel came around to show 2 very different ways how you can do this right.
Because it's not about turning Pulp Fiction into a shooting game.
No, exactly. Pulp Fiction is like, you could do that. It's a dance simulator. But you'd have to distill like what's important about Pulp Fiction. It's playing as these different characters, maybe the conversation wheels, talking to people, maybe building tension through different elements. Doom, it doesn't have to be entertainment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's the problem is like the old interpretation of a game is it has to be entertaining. And now I don't think it does have to be entertaining. It can be affecting instead, much like a movie. Like a movie doesn't have to be entertaining. As we'll get to later on when we talk about Terrence Malick. Here is an entertaining movie though. Thor. Entertainment Weekly got to show off Chris Hemsworth's new look in the 3rd solo Thor movie called Ragnarok. He now has short hair. He's got war paint and dual blades. Have you seen this? It looks pretty cool. Let me get this up for you. Entertainment Weekly. Yeah, there's a lot of fans haven't been happy about this. A lot of people have been. Here he is. Looking very cool. I'm the Thor movies are the one bit of the Marvel universe that I do not enjoy. I really don't look forward to them. I'm really excited about this Thor film. I'm going to tell you why, Bruno.
Tell me why.
So for this film, Thor is sent to Sakaar, which is a planet, and it's the same planet that there's a big comic series called Planet Hulk. It's set on, and it's kind of like a Hunger Games battle royale planet. It's just constant gladiator battles happening on there. But by the time Thor gets there in this film, Hulk has already been there for a long time, and he's kind of seen as a god on the planet, and he's undefeatable, so he's like their hero. You've now got Tom Hiddleston's back as Loki, but you've also got Kate Blanchett as Hela, you've got Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, Jeff Goldblum is going to be in it as a Grandmaster, and they've already announced some characters in the film that overlap with the Guardians of the Galaxy universe, so there's a potential for sure with them warming up to the next Avengers being Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers, which we know they're all going to be together. This could be the film that joins those dots. You got Doctor Strange as well, but for me, just the idea of like they sold it as this intergalactic road trip adventure with Thor and Hulk, which to me sounds fucking great. And it's directed by Taika Waititi, who directed Flight of the Conchords. He directed What We Do in the Shadows. Did you see that found footage vampire comedy people loved?
I'm not sure.
It's a good film.
I have seen that.
And he just directed The Hunt for the Wilder People. It just came out last year with Sam Neill. He's a really great director, like genuinely very funny. And he addressed some of the film's comic tones that people worried about, and he said, I think sometimes people make the mistake of thinking a tonal shift as we're going to make some ridiculous broad comedy where no one gives a shit, and what happens, and everyone just gets stoned and sits around talking about saving the universe. But we want people to care about what happens and to care about the hero succeeding. I think tonally it's like a slight shift, and I don't feel nervous. I feel very good about it. Thor Ragnarok will be released on October the 26th in Australia, 27th in UK, and November the 3rd in the US. Because for some reason, I don't know if people know this, but we here in the UK get Marvel films a week before the US. Like a full week. Which, considering how big those films are, is very weird. Why don't you just do a global... I don't know how that happens. Like getting an Avenger movie a week before the US gets it, it's very strange.
Is it testing market or something?
But why? You don't need to test those movies. Like, you know they're going to...
They are not going to do any change anyway.
No, in a week you can't change anything. I don't understand. But we still do. We get them a week early every time. So I'm happy for Guardians because we'll be here. I'll be here and we'll be doing a Guardians of the Galaxy spoiler cast as soon as it comes out here. So don't listen to it clearly until you've been to see the movie a week later, but it will be out, like, ready. And the final piece of news this week, Bruno. Do you want to do streaming on the Switch? You said last week that was something you're worried about. There's no Netflix, there's no Hulu, none of these services on the Nintendo Switch, so that is a factor in whether or not you want to buy it. President and COO of Nintendo America, Reggie, has answered about the public's bemoaning the lack of streaming services on the Switch. Here's what he had to say. With an interview with the Washington Post. He said, "We're talking to a range of companies about other services, companies like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, things that will come in time. But what differentiates us is the way you play with the Nintendo Switch and what you can play. And that will continue to be our focus into the future as we continue driving this platform." When he was then pushed about an Amiga launch lineup, he replied, "My answer is to look at the games that have been announced and are in development, and that should drive your purchase decision." So basically he said, we don't give a shit. But he said they're talking to these companies. And he does say things that will come in time. But he doesn't promise anything.
No.
So.
But is it promising in terms of games?
Well, we said this last week. I don't think it is a bad launch lineup. I think looking into the future of what they've announced, that gets me more worried. So what he's saying should give me hope. And what other people are saying I should be worried about, for me, are the reverse. I think the launch was actually great. There weren't that many games, but we went through the history of game launches last week with Chris, and not many games come out on most consoles at launch. They really don't. And to have a game like Zelda straight away, and have Snipper Clips, bit of Bomberman, whatever, like, there's enough for now. But looking at the future, it's like, well, I got Mario Odyssey. There's a lot of cool little indie games, but I need some big, meaty, proper, AAA games. Not many coming. Really not. Like, having the new Mario Kart 8, which is the deluxe version of one on the Wii U, like, that's not enough for me. I don't need new versions. I need new games. Splatoon 2, but I wasn't a big fan of Splatoon 1, even though I get why people like it. So for me, looking to the future is the problem with the Switch right now. Like, they need way more games. And I'm fine right now because we've got Zelda. But once you have had enough of Zelda...
Is there an end, or is in universe forever, Zelda?
Zelda, I mean, there's an end, but... For instance, I have friends who have put 120 hours into this game, and they are 15% through it. Not 50, 15.15%. So this game there's so much to do. You can play this for years and years and years, But at some point, you're probably going to get bored, or just like... I found myself today, there's no spoilers, so I'm not going to say, but I finally managed to get... There's like one item I wanted in the game so badly, and I've spent maybe 5 hours trying to get to that item. Maybe longer. And I finally got it today, and I found myself getting quite angry with stuff. Like, I've been playing so much Zelda, things were finally just frustrating me because I was failing and doing stupid things.
Is it difficult?
It's not a problem with the game. Some of it's very difficult. Like, and that's because it's an open world. It's kind of like, if you go to an area and then you find you're struggling, don't go there yet. You could still power through and figure out a way, and there's a million adaptive ways to do it, but probably get out and do other stuff. Level yourself up, get cool stuff, and then go back again. But yeah, it's really hard. There are places where it's Dark Souls hard nearly. Like, I had to fight something that caused me a lot of trouble. But then there's really ingenious puzzle elements in fights as well. So it's always kind of like someone just like went straight ahead with just trying to fight this thing and just came up with potions and food and different ways to do it and the right weapon, and other people find an environmental way to beat them, There's like a lot of ways to do something. It's a really, really smart game. Like I could genuinely spend hours talking about that game, but my favorite thing about Zelda is that everyone wants to talk about it, but no one wants to spoil anything. So I'm listening to so many podcasts of people talking about it, but no one wants to spoil it for everybody. Everyone wants everybody to find things on their own. And it's so rare. Like with computer games, it's not, well, the next one's coming out next week, which is true. Like Mass Effect Mass Effect Andromeda is out next week. But normally that would mean everyone goes, all right, well, here's all the secrets. Here's how you get the cool things. Here's how you like whiz through Zelda to like do it before the next big thing comes out. And instead people are like, no, we don't want to like spoil it. Let people do things in their own way. And my only regret is I don't have, like I got Katie a copy of it. And I'm hoping her and Tamara are going to play some in LA. But I don't have someone in my immediate circle. I've just got extended circles of friends playing.
Can you? So then you can see them online and go play.
Not really. Nintendo's online is a nightmare. The friend request is a nightmare. You need this huge fucking number, and it doesn't really do much. And it's dumb. But I just want people I can sit down and talk to about it. Like I've had so many experiences that I want to sit down and be able to say, this thing was so cool. How did you do it?
Because one of the things that I thought about this when I first saw the advertisement was that feeling of the people playing basketball on the court, and then and then after they all take
right.
So was this idea of maybe
community.
10 of your friends can have them, and you just get closer to each other, and they're all sharing the same game and playing together.
I mean, you can do that. This online is notoriously bad for Nintendo, and this console hasn't fixed that yet. Online problems were very big with Bomberman. I haven't tried anything else really yet online, but so, just the friend management is complicated and a nightmare. It's not like Xbox in any way.
They don't sync with each other. Like if you have one here and I have one here closer to each other, it doesn't sync. It's the same game.
No.
But that's bullshit, because that's what would be cool on this, is that because it's portable, if 5 of them could be close to each other and sync into each other.
I mean, maybe there's a Bluetooth way with a particular game. I don't think there's a game out yet that does that. God, I can't think what would do that yet.
Even playing any sort of like racing games or also like sport games, even you have yours there and I have like my one here, so we're facing each other and playing.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Because
it's hard that you do this when you play in one screen, when sharing like screen.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Like if you're sharing screen with a shooting game,
yeah,
it sucks because you can see where the other one is. So this one would give you the chance of playing with all your friends in one table.
Yeah,
and not looking to each other's screen.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think that's definitely one of their intentions with it, for sure. And I think there are definitely games that will do that. Will allow you to hook up, essentially like a little miniature LAN party.
Exactly.
Like you used to do with your old Counter-Strike days. Yeah,
that would be super cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. But for online stuff, it's going to be harder. For couch co-op, Nintendo's great. But for online stuff, it's going to be tougher. For sure. That was all the news.
One comment that I was thinking of, when we were talking about trying to make one episode about games
made for movies.
Yeah, but we also have the reverse that often doesn't work.
Completely. Never works. Like it's driving me absolutely crazy. Absolutely. I think we talked about it the other week. Like I was saying, how you're always arrogant enough as a creative person to think, I could figure this out, or why can't I get this right?
Yes.
And then you get into the world properly and it's really hard to get this stuff sorted. But with computer game adaptations, I've always been like, no, of course you can make a good like video game to movie adaptation. But with this year, with the director of Moon, with David Bowie's son, like not making an awful film. Warcraft was okay, but not doing an incredible job. And with Assassin's Creed, which is some of the most talented people in the industry in that film, from producing, acting, scoring, editing, cinematography, directing, like every area of that film, it's filled with talent. And again, it's fine. Like it's certainly not awful like a lot of video game movies, but it's not great. And that's actually, like makes me worry. Then I'm just like, can anyone actually do this?
And I actually haven't seen this. Can you believe? And I'm a big fan of the game.
Creed. Oh, really?
Oh, I love it.
I mean, I don't know. But that's the thing. It's like, as a big fan of the game and as someone who's a filmmaker, I would suggest go and see it.
Yeah.
But as a normal person, I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't say, you've got to go see Assassin's Creed. Like, it's like, if you're a fan of the game, there are things you'll enjoy about it for sure. And it looks beautiful. But Like, and that just worries me. If people like that can't do a great adaptation, then can anybody? I'm sure someone can, but it's making me lose hope. It really is. But again, I think it might come with indie filmmakers, you know? You might need smaller films, not these big blockbuster films. It's like, oh, it has to be an action game. It's like, well, no, action film, I mean. No, why not take a smaller game and do a smaller film?
No, and actually, from that film, like specifically, what's not the actions really. Was about the characters and going back in time.
It's about hitting A. It's what it's about, climbing up everything.
Yeah, but getting your gadget together and finding some things and learning about history.
Hanging out with Leonardo da Vinci.
Exactly. That's the sort of stuff that is very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that again? I keep looking up if people are watching the video. I'm paranoid because we're not recording to audio this week. We're recording to the video and then splitting the audio. So if the camera fucks up at any point, we'd lose the podcast, and it's making me palpitate. Yeah, it's really anxious. So I keep like getting up. Like now.
Is he recording?
Let's wander over, double check.
We are online.
Yeah, it's got a little red dot going.
So we're still live.
Out.
Speaking with the whole world.
I like these fireside podcasts where it's just more relaxed. You can get up. I'm aware our food's getting cold. So let's whiz through the rest of the podcast. All right, let's talk about releases very quickly. The US has on March the 17th, Beauty and the Beast is finally out, directed by Bill Condon, who directed Mr. Holmes and The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, and Kinsey, starring Emma Watson, Dan Stevens, Luke Evans, Emma Thompson, Ian McKellen, Ewan McGregor, Kevin Kline, Stanley Tucci, Josh Gad. It's a whole lot of people. Most of them just voices for the animated characters. It's an adaptation of the Disney fairy tale about a monstrous-looking prince and a young woman who fall in love. That's the official IMDb synopsis. So, I'm so angry about this film, Bruno.
Why? It looked good for me. It looked like, what do you expect from that?
And I've got a bunch of friends in the industry who have seen this already. There are a few of them who enjoyed it. The majority of my friends are backing up my worries about it, which is, I don't understand. Like, I am a big advocate for reboots. I have no problem with a remake or a reboot. I think that's great. But for me, it's like a band doing a cover. You do something different, you do something new, and you adapt it in a fresh perspective. With the Jungle Book one, Favreau did something different with that. Like, I didn't really enjoy it personally, but it felt like a different movie, you know? So I kind of admired that. I think he's doing like the Aladdin one or something, or the Lion King. But this is a fucking shot for shot. And they've come out saying, like, we're basically doing a shot for shot remake of the animated movie. That's what they want to do. Which, like, just regardless of how it looks or the actors or anything, to me is just atrocious. It's like, you know when they did Psycho and they remade it shot by shot? Do you remember that Gus Van Sant?
No, I can't remember.
It's shot by shot, exactly the same that version of Psycho. It's like, why bother? Like, why? You're not adding anything. You're just pissing all over the original. And this, for me, is one of those things of like, what is the fucking point of taking an animated film that everybody loves? Like, I've never met someone who doesn't love the original Beauty and the Beast. And then making it in live action. But they say live action, but it's like the Jungle Book. There's not much live action. You know, most of these characters are animated. They're just CGI animated now rather than 2D animated, you know? So essentially you're making an animated, like reimagining of an animated movie and you're doing it nearly shot by shot. So it's like, I don't see the fucking point, and it makes me really angry. It really does. Then I just get to looking at the film, and for me, I actually like Emma Watson a lot as a person. And she's been in the news recently a lot with a lot of political stuff, and I think she seems great. Like, I really do. I think she holds her own incredibly well, and she's a smart lady. Don't think she can act for shit. Like, I'm sorry, but I've never seen her do any great acting. And in this, she looks dreadful. Her accent is that same posh Harry Potter accent that, to me, just doesn't suit this role. She doesn't seem genuine as Belle in any way. I think the design of the Beast looks ridiculous and very CGI. And it just drives me crazy. And yeah, a lot of my friends who've seen this have said, like, what is the point of this? Like, they went and saw it and they're just like, this is just such a pointless movie. And they said there's a shot at the end, which I don't, well, if you've seen the original, it's shot by shot. But there's a scene where everything turns into like furniture at the end, and they just burst out laughing because it looks so ridiculous. It was like someone had a yard sale. And everyone else in the cinema was really into it. So I think the general public are going to love this. I really do. I think I'll make tons of money, and we'll get a load more shit like this where they just don't even have to do new storyboards.
No.
Just take the old film and just make
Exactly.
it in live action. But for me, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. And it doesn't annoy me that it got made. It annoys me that people are going to go see it and it's going to make a load of money and we'll get more stuff like this, you know? And that when I say, oh, I love Beauty and the Beast, I'm now going to have to differentiate which one it is because they're basically the same. Plus, if you go see this movie, you're funding Trump because a lot of the money behind Beauty and the Beast goes through Trump. A lot of money behind Disney, to be fair. So,
Really?
So if you want to, go see a Marvel movie, even you're funding Trump, which is a shame. Anyway, you're excited? You're ready for some Beauty and the Beast?
It's not the type of film that I would ever see, to be honest. I don't watch that type of films.
Okay.
Of course, that I have seen the
the 95.
yeah,
94
like
original.
also, but I don't watch those new things. No, I don't.
That's because you're on Netflix. We're just getting 70s and 80s movies.
Exactly.
If you want to see a Beauty and the Beast done differently, and I'm not saying done perfectly at all, there's a French version that came out last year called Beauty and the Beast. That's a big budget, just like this. Like really, it's just like this. CGI, big budget version, not a musical. It stars Vincent Cassel, I think, because he's in every French movie. Directed by the guy who directed Brotherhood of the Wolf and directed Silent Hill, the first one. That is way more interesting.
One of the films that I liked from this one is Cars, because it's very trippy.
Cars
I
is
don't even know. I just found it very trippy.
Cars is their biggest, like Disney's biggest movie, and most people don't know this, but Cars makes more money in merchandise than Star Wars.
That's crazy.
Like it makes so much money.
Interesting.
Anyway, we also got Trainspotting 2. It's finally coming to America, directed by Danny Boyle, starring again Ewan McGregor,
Which we
Ewan
have seen
Bremner,
here,
John Lee Miller, Robert Carlyle.
like a month ago.
Yeah, it came out for us a month ago. We've been doing a Danny Boyle retrospective podcast, which is going along right now, and the last film, Trainspotting 2, will be going up the day after this. So on March the 18th, you'll be able to get our podcast talking about the film. And then a few days later, we'll be doing a roundup. But me, Haruka, and Alison watched every Danny Boyle film in order. And yeah, they've been going up. So you can, at the moment, they're in this feed. But if you stay to the end of the podcast, I'm going to explain how we're going to be revamping our whole podcast scenario. Trainspotting 2, I really didn't like it. But I've never been to see a film with more mixed opinions. Some people absolutely loved it. Some people it was better than the first one. Some people hated it. It was a real mixed bag.
And actually,
of the people I was with.
remember that you were very excited to see these. Actually,
I was really
you were
excited.
super excited.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
As you know, I don't like much his films. I really like him, but I don't like his like storytelling at all. I have never seen one film that I liked from him.
Really?
No, I don't. It just doesn't work. Like for me, there's always like something on the story that's not me.
Okay.
You know, how I like it. Yeah, it's
interesting.
crazy.
Because what I love about him is he is like, I mean, I think you feel about him the same way I feel about Kubrick. Like, I really respect the shit out of Kubrick, but personally, he doesn't speak to me.
And I'm completely nuts about it.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like, they do the same thing. Like, they both do, every film's a different genre.
Yeah, which is super cool.
But they keep their own personal voice within each
which is
one.
nice.
Yeah, which is great.
But I also didn't like much
The original Trainspotting?
no, well, both of them.
Oh, the new one.
But the second one I didn't at all. I was
Yeah,
like,
I don't like it.
"Oh."
I don't know what they do with it.
Was a kind of reunion is very difficult to make this work as well, no?
Yeah, yeah.
Reunion films.
I've said all of my opinions on the podcast, so if people want to hear it, go over to there. And then there's a new Terrence Malick film called Song to Song, starring Ryan Gosling, Natalie Portman, Michael Fassbender, Kate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Val Kilmer, Holly Hunter, Iggy Pop,
And Fish Eye
and fisheye lenses. Yep. The synopsis for this is 2 intersecting love triangles, obsession and betrayal set against the music scene in Austin, Texas. So they're getting this out just in time for South by Southwest, because that's what's happening right now. What's happening this week. We just watched the trailer for this. Did you like the trailer?
I don't know. I couldn't get really the story.
Yep.
Maybe I'm too slow, but I couldn't get it.
It's Terrence Malick. I don't think stories. It's just really weird because I always think he makes incredible trailers, but then now I've seen enough of his films to know how it's going to turn out, you know. But we were just saying, like, it used to take him 18 years to make a movie, and now since 2011 when he did The Tree of Life. In 2012, then he did To the Wonder. 2015, he did Knight of Cups. 2016, he did 2 documentaries. And then this year, he's got 2 films, Song to Song and Radagund.
But his early films are so good, right?
Like, he's
so good.
He's like Days of Heaven's incredible, Badlands
Yes.
incredible, Thin
Oh.
Red Line, The New World,
Yeah.
like incredible movies.
Incredible films. You know, really.
And I still really love like The Tree of Life. There's bits I love and bits I hate,
Yeah.
but at least it's interesting, you know. And even To the Wonder, there were bits I loved in it. But he's just making the same film again and again now, and he's doing them so quick. Like he's obviously, and you see how you read interviews with him and his actors and how he works. He's just got like a spin cycle on. Of like, oh, you just do it like this, and they just shoot loads of footage, all Steadicam, all those super wide lenses, and they just go bam, 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 and then they assemble it into a dreamy mood piece. And I'm normally fine with that, even if it's a mess. I'm like, well, at least it's different, you know. But A, he's just making the same movie again and again and again, and B, the last one, Night Cops, like that pissed me off. Like the character was so impenetrably annoying.
Just a good comment from the trailer was he's very good in choosing where to shoot, right? Even for the car and things, the backgrounds are very nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
That
the
sort of
cinematography
stuff, yeah.
beautiful, but it's also once you're in the way he makes stuff, it's kind of easy. Like it is. Like it kind of makes me want to go, and I don't mean this like this is going to sound so like pretentiously arrogant, but I kind of just want to go make a Terrence Malick film just to show how easy it is to do something like that, because the way he does it now is such a formula that it's ridiculous. It really is. But yeah, he's made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films in the last 5 years. Which is like, let's just slow down, take a break, reflect, write a fucking story. I really like The New World is one of my favorites of his. I really want to see what happens if he makes a film with a story again like that. Then in the UK, we're getting Beauty and the Beast. We're also getting Personal Shopper, which is a new film from Oliver Assayas, who did Clouds of Sils Maria and Summer Hours. Starring Kristen Stewart. It revolves around a ghost story that takes place in the fashion underworld of Paris. We're going to see this with a Q&A from the director in a few days, so I haven't even watched the trailer yet, so I don't want to know anything about it. And we're getting Get Out, which is the film everyone's talking about in LA right now. Yeah, you just saw the trailer to this because you hadn't heard about it. Does it look intriguing?
It does. I just hope it has a purpose. It's not like just
weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah, but I guess if there are many people enjoying it, so I hope it's good. I hope it's something modern.
Yep.
Like a new storytelling, not new, but more like fresh like storytelling is always cool.
Yeah, I hope so too. I do like when people come from one genre into another genre. I think that's an interesting, when you get a comedian doing horror, it's interesting. But yeah, the trailer just like, it looks cool to me, but I don't know from the trailer why it's caused such a big fuss. I'm worried it's going to be hammering home its kind of racial morality that it's trying to talk about too much, but we'll see.
Which is good. It's good as well.
Video games, not much at all. There's Trove coming to PS4 and there's Kona coming to Xbox One, just little indie things. The reason is because Mass Effect Andromeda is coming out next week, so everyone's out of the way of Mass Effect. And then Blu-ray releases in the US, we've got Passengers came out this week, we've got The Love Witch, we've got Elle, we've got Fences, and we've got Collateral Beauty. And in the UK, we've got Planet Earth 2, which is in 4K. We've got The Accountant, also available in 4K. And we've got Nocturnal Animals, The Love Witch, The Light Between Oceans, Pet, and Metropolis, the anime version.
Actually, on Planet Earth 2 last week, I went to a Q&A with the director and with the producer, yeah.
Oh, awesome. I didn't even know they did that, and I suddenly saw it, and I was like, this looks great.
It's very cool. She's super cool. She really talked through the whole journey of making this and how she got into this. So she worked on science, and then she did her PhD on science, I think, as well. But through the journey, she did some internship on BC many years ago or something, and then it was a very cool journey to see how it happened.
Yeah.
Took like 10 years working to make this, and she was talking about the challenges and the crew, and it was very cool.
That's awesome.
And she's super nice, super humble, super cool girl.
Yeah, they're the best.
Really
Like
her.
it's one of the few things I'm really proud of with this country is we do make the best natural
True.
like nature documentaries in the world. And
But one of the
Planet Earth
things is
incredible.
they, by listening to her, is like, wow, the only BBC could have probably fund something for 10 years to.
Yeah, oh, yeah, to
You know what I
keep
mean?
everything,
And
But this one's gotta
all
be
the
more of a-
challenge that they had, and
This one though has to be something where they have more faith in it because they know how well Planet Earth 1 did.
Mm.
Like that initial investment in Planet Earth 1, knowing that's going to be 10 years or 8 years, whatever that one was. Like that's got to have been, terrifying. Cool.
Nice.
So what we normally do, Bruno, is pick which of the films, which of the games, which of the Blu-rays we would each buy or go see. Out of the movies coming out in cinemas in US and UK, what are you most excited about?
Which
Beauty and the Beast, Trainspotting 2, Song to Song, Get Out, and Personal Shopper.
I don't know much about the Personal Shopper, so
Yeah.
if you say, I would probably go for Get Out.
Get Out. Cool. I'm most excited. I'm hoping Song to Song's good, but I don't think it's going to be. So I'm most excited for Personal Shopper, even though I don't know much about it. For some reason, I'm pretty excited about that movie. I haven't seen a good spooky movie in a while. Games, there's nothing to choose from, really. So with Blu-rays, I am going to highlight, and it doesn't mean I think it's the best film. I think Elle is probably the best film among them. But I'm going to highlight Pet, which was a film that we saw at Fright Fest last year, which was actually pretty cool. It's got, I've forgotten his name now. The guy from Lost and Lord of the Rings. Dominic something.
What is this one?
Metropolis, that's an
Is
anime
this-
version of, you remember the old classic
Yeah.
black and white? There's like an anime version from 2000 something, which is very good. It's finally come to Blu-ray. But yeah, I'd say Pet is one for people, horror fans to check out, thriller fans to check out. It's quite funny and quite nasty.
I'm a bit lost in this because I haven't seen those films much.
Okay. Don't worry. Just pick a word you like. Just go with that.
Maybe Fences, actually, because I haven't seen it. And
The Denzel Washington one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about that movie, to be honest. Then just get into box office and then we can get out of here. I piled up these games over here, you see, because these are the things I've been playing. And I wanted to talk about them because there's been a lot of releases this year already. All of these are this year. And I wanted to go through them, but we've been running too long on this podcast, so I'll talk about them next week. So the top 20 films right now. Number 20 are United Kingdom. Number 19 is Table 19. Number 18 is Badrinath Ki Dulhania. Number 17 is Moonlight. Number 16 is Rock Dog. Number 15 is A Dog's Purpose. Number 14 is Split. Number 13 is The Great Wall. 12 is Fist Fight. 11 is Lion. 10 is 50 Shades Darker. 9 is La La Land. 8 is John Wick Chapter 2. 7 is Hidden Figures. 6 is Before I Fall. And here are the top 5 films at the moment. We've got the Lego Batman movie at number 5. We've got The Shack at number 4. We've got Get Out at number 3. Logan, number 2, which made a weekend gross of 38 million, which for its second week is pretty damn good. But at number 1, new entry with $61 million, Kong Skull Island.
Wow. Does it mean that really who spend more, sell more? Like who pays more?
Who pays more? Yeah, that's true. We went to see Kong. We went to see Kong.
Yes, we did.
How do you feel? We didn't get to talk about it much.
We
Did you enjoy
didn't.
it?
I liked the visuals.
Yeah.
I like it. We watched in
3D IMAX. Yeah, that was.
IMAX, and it was good.
Yeah.
It's just that sort of film that I think, let's go to the right, now let's go left, and now right, now left, and now right, and just like, come on guys.
Just running around
Yeah,
constantly.
that sort of stuff. Visually, very cool. I don't know. I don't believe they would turn this into something that is designed for me as an indie film. I don't think it's the.
Which
it
is
is
weird
even the
considering it's an
purpose.
indie director doing it. It's strange that this doesn't feel like an indie director directing
No.
this. This feels like, other than it does have a lot of personality, I would say. Like it's got a very strong personality. It's very confident.
One thing that I've thought is that they could have made a bit more dramatic when Kong tried, like, make something more dramatic.
When he first appears, or
Well, when he gets hurt, it was a bit.
oh, okay.
I didn't feel any emotional feelings when
Connection
he.
with him.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
to be honest,
Yeah.
and when I watched Planet of Apes, I even felt more in there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they're very different movies. Like, so for me, the Planet of the Apes movies, the good ones anyway, are very smart, very sophisticated dramas, to be honest, with action, in them. But Kong is, I haven't really talked about it much, but I put up on my social medias, it's like a $200 million B movie. And you're either fine with that or you're not, I think. But that's what it is. Like, it is a B movie. Like, it is a proper midnight trash movie. The characters are ridiculous. The dialogue is ridiculous. The narrative, like, they push the narrative to stupid places, with ridiculous, like, oh, we need to tell this part of the story. And I'm not going to do any spoilers, but so we're just going to literally, like, hand it to you in this dumb way. But it's so embracing that I really fucking love it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I do think if it wasn't directed as well, the action, like, because the action structured so well, like, it's impeccably well made, like, in the action sequences, and the CGI, which I normally find difficult, looked phenomenal. Like, I thought it looked incredibly
textures,
beautiful. Like,
everything.
And we saw it on as big a screen as you could possibly see this.
Yeah.
So I had a ball of a time with it. Like, I just thought it was so much fun, and all the creatures were a load of fun. But you have to go in not expecting anything serious. Like, don't expect anything believable. Exactly. Everyone stands around like an action figure. Yeah. Like, it's very dumb. What I don't understand is, like, there's a good stinger at the end of the movie to do with Godzilla because it's tying into Godzilla versus King Kong. What I don't understand is how they make the universe of Kong Skull Island match with the universe of Gareth Edwards' Godzilla from 2014. Because his Godzilla was pretty somber and pretty dark and pretty, more grounded. And this is just like a cartoon. Like, it's crazy. So how you get those two characters to meet, I don't know. But, yeah, I will be there in 2020 to watch King Kong go up against Godzilla for fucking sure. They have that little throwaway line as well if he's still getting bigger, so I get that. I don't know how much bigger he can get, but holy shit. And I love, like, and again, no spoilers, but, like, he's right in there from the beginning of this movie. Like, as soon as they get there, there's no build up. Normally you'd have, like, oh, maybe they see something and then they crash and then they have to, like, walk for ages and you know he's coming. It's like, no, he's fucking there straight at the beginning. That was bitch cool. Slapping the helicopters. Yeah. It's like, it's pretty cool.
That was cool.
It's refreshingly just, we don't give a shit. But $200 million on that movie, it's got a long way to go to make its money back. A long way to go. Like, I'm happy it's at number one right now, but that's a lot of money to spend on a B movie. It really is.
It is.
Not many movies cost $200 million.
No.
Great. That's it.
Cool.
Bruno, my friend, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I hope that I was not too boring or lost.
Not for me. Not for me. That's my worry every single week on this podcast. Yeah, we are restructuring all of our podcasts so you can get exactly the content that you want. It's going to be happening very soon, but next week I'll announce exactly when. But it will mean from now on, if you just want the Friday 13th podcast that we do, you can just get that and subscribe to it. And then when we do a new Friday 13th, it will just go straight to you. You'll get that updated without any of our other stuff. If you just want this podcast where we do our topical stuff, you'll just be able to get this. If you want everything we do, you can get that. Eventually, when we have a lot of horror franchises, like Nightmare on Elm Street we're doing right now, then we're going to do Halloween, Scream, you'll have a horror channel, so you can just subscribe to that, just go to horror content. We're just separating it all up into exactly what you want.
That's very cool.
We're going to be starting a Twin Peaks podcast, I believe, in LA that Katie's going to be running, so you can get that. And our Danny Boyle one will be part of a director's channel that we're going to do, where we talk over directors' successions of movies. But yeah, I'll let you know more about that next week, but that is coming, so don't worry. The feed at the moment is pretty busy. We've got like 6 podcasts going up a week right now, and that's going to be easier then to digest. You just might have to go and subscribe to some other stuff. But for right now, you can do that by heading over to iTunes and typing in We Are Geeks and just subscribing to our channel. That would help us out. If you could leave us a star rating, thank you very much. And then you can go over to We Are Tessellate. We Are Tessellate with 2 S's and 2 L's. And you can get out to all our social medias there. You can follow us when you can watch a bunch of our movies, listen to our music. Because we're a production company run out of LA, run out of Tokyo, run out of London. And we are making our first feature film right now called Starfish. And we'll be updating more about that. If you want to follow me, you can go to Mr. Al White on every social media. Also on Xbox if you want to play video games with me. Bruno Centafanti, how can people talk to you about your movie and other things that you're doing?
They can search me online as well. I am at Bruno Centofanti, which is Bruno, Bruno, Centofanti. Probably easier to just Google Bruno Cento F and probably shows my full name, and you find my page and everything else.
Do you have stuff for your company website still?
My company.
Another.
Yeah, we are just rebranding this.
Rebranding. Okay, so we won't talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, you can find some of my stuff in there.
And people go to the London Sci-Fi Film Festival on March the 15th.
Sorry, April 27th.
Sorry. Oh, I was completely fucking off. On April the 27th, you go to March London Sci-Fi Festival.
Yeah, before
go see the film.
Caught.
Yes. I was waiting to see you.
Yeah,
You looked a little scared.
And
Go see the film Caught, your short film, and we'll be How to Be Human. We'll be playing beforehand.
yes, it's gonna be good.
Thank you, my friend.
Please come and join us.
Yeah, I'll be there as well. So if you want
Yes.
to come meet us, then go to that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back next week with episode 68. Until then, we're out.
Boom.
Let's go eat some food.
Yes.
Oh boy.